What up, perps? Kid Copious back here in the bunker, Purple State Party, trying to find some stability in this crazy-ass world. So we're going to launch right into it. We're going to start with what's been really pissing me off this week. And I'd have to say, top of the list, would have to be how the media types have now taken to showing coronavirus numbers compared to other, horrendous events in American history. Comparing it to 9/11, World War II, the Civil War, where people made sacrifices for the greater good. And now those numbers are being thrown in with people who died from a virus just to sell a freaking story. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's become. The media is as fake as wrestling. And believe me, I'm not taking any shots at wrestling. I've been a fan since '79. Before then even, I would say. But I remember when, the lid came off of wrestling and, we figured out we were told basically that, we know who's going to win the match and it's up to the guys to figure it out. And then, we saw there were shows like Tough Enough, which if you've never seen, that was a very interesting wrestling show about newcomers learning the business. But that's what the media is doing right now, is everything has to be some sort of partial truth accentuated to prove some sort of point, which is just not really supposed to be their role. They're not supposed to be storytellers. They're supposed to be informers. They're supposed to be, they're supposed to be educators, for God's sakes. They're supposed to be, telling us what's going on and giving us good advice and showing us the pros and cons of things, but they don't. Everybody just shows the pros on one side, the cons on the other side, and that's not the way things work. I mean, there's a lot of bad ideas floating about out there. There's a lot of bad practices going on right now. And, nobody's talking about it. I mean, right now, we're living in a state of martial law practically, but that hasn't been declared, but people are being arrested, dragged off buses. And what are the politicians doing? They're passing little things here and there, temporary band-aids, but I hope to God, these guys realize the devastating effect when people aren't getting their jobs back, when, people who were fortunate enough to get a job in the first place lose their job and now have to try to get another one. What happens with all of the prisoners that were released? What's going to happen when everybody owes this month's rent next month? What's going to happen? And they're going to have to pass more stimulus packages. They're going to have to get people over this hump because they're the ones who shut it down. The government shut it down. This is, Joe Q. Public out there. He didn't shut it down. He didn't not show up to work. He didn't furlough himself. The government did. And they're going to have to help. They're going to have to do something. And I already know what's going to happen. The Democrats are going to complain about the money that the corporations get. They give money to the libraries, to the arts, things like that. That's fine. Money for, homeless relief, other forms of release, the schools are still providing free lunches and things like that. But they're going to bellyache about the corporations. The corporations who pay rent on buildings, property taxes on buildings. They pay excise taxes, fees, this, that, and the other thing. They pay for employees. I mean, who gives you your check? Probably a corporation. Who provides your food? The corporations. They've got to outlay all of that money, set up all the factories and all the manufacturing facilities, pay the employees, pay the insurances, pay all of the fees and regulatory taxes. They give out the paychecks are taxed. They pay for people's health insurance. But the whole spin of the Democrats is, oh, here goes Trump again with the corporations. But look around you right now. I mean, you're watching me on something made by a corporation. I mean, are they really the problem? Are they really? I mean, because you got one side that says, let's give checks to corporations, and then another side that says, how about we give checks to illegal aliens? I mean, which one makes sense? I mean, this isn't quantum math here or nothing. That makes perfect sense to me. Corporations are what puts money in our pockets. And I'm not a corporate slave. I don't. I mean, there's plenty of I can't stand a lot of corporations out there. I like mom and pops. I don't really shop on the internet all that much unless I can't find it. But I look for it here. You know, I bought my comic books at a comic book store. I buy my electronics at an electronics store, or I shop at Walmart or Target. You know, wherever I can find a mom and pop. I've been going to the same 7-Eleven my entire life. You know? And yes, that's a corporate, but it's a franchise. It's owned by a family. You know, I like to shop in our Old Town district. You know? I'm not a huge fan. And one corporation that I'm really freaking done with, and I urge all Americans to really be on board with this one, is the freaking NBA. I mean, you remember those guys, right? You know, the ones with the basketball dribbling around? Remember them? The ones who were throwing people out of games because they were holding up signs in support of Hong Kong. Hong Kong. They were fighting for their freedom, and we had to sit on the sidelines because we didn't want to piss China off. And then the NBA throws its 2 cents in and starts throwing people out for having signs and shirts. They should be boycotted because this shutdown is their fault. The best data out there is a bat in China. That's the bottom line. There's has nothing to do with a person's race. It has nothing to do with xenophobia or nothing about that. That's pure simple fact. Where did it start? That's how these things work. These animal type diseases get into the human stream somewhere. That's how it works. Bacteria, things like that, other viruses, they get into humans somehow from a specific location. They don't just appear, you know, all over the world. They start somewhere. You know, you look through history. You know, potatoes weren't everywhere. Well, neither are viruses. You know, it's just the way it works. And then they lied and they covered it up. And one other thing they kind of cover up, from what I've been reading, is the fact that TikTok, one of the most popular things right now, is a Chinese company that reports back to the Chinese government. I mean, this is a communist country that we are essentially at war with. Who did we have to fight in the Korean War and in the Vietnam War? If you want to throw those things around amidst all these corona numbers, we had to fight the Chinese. We had to fight the Chinese just a mere few years. I don't even think a decade. I hate dates. I'm not good with dates. But 10 years after we bail out China from Japanese domination, they turn around and they support the North Koreans. And they continue to today. Same thing in Vietnam. They supported the Viet Cong. That's what they did. And it's time that we end that. And we need to put pressure on people. And the NBA, I think, is the best place to start. First of all, I'm over basketball. You know, I think it ended with Kobe and Shaq. You know, but meanwhile, while their side is cheering for China, and their side is anti-corporations and open borders and all this other nonsense, and tolerance. They always like to label places like California as forward-thinking, progressive ideas. But, you know, on one hand, they want the Bible people to, and I don't mean that in any other way other than that's just how I ramble. You know, people who believe in the Bible, they want them to accept gays and lesbians and transgender people. And that's fine. I mean, that's what I believe personally. I think you just love everybody. You don't judge anybody. You know, if somebody's an a-hole, they're an a-hole. That's, you know, I can stand an a-hole slightly better than a woke hole. But then they go on a tirade if God gets mentioned on TV. And I'm talking about the My Pillow dude. And people are attacking his stands and ripping up the displays. And that happened at some big box store. I try to steer away from names, but anyhow. They have no tolerance for religious people. They have only tolerance for what they think makes them look better. Right? You know, and when you ask them about that, of course, they just scream and shout something, because that's all liberals really know how to do, is to deflect and distract. That's it. Because their BS is just BS at the end of the day. Oh, don't give money to corporations, but give money to people who have snuck into the country illegally. And I'm not talking about any one group of people. And the worst part is a lot of the people who are in this country illegally are also in here against their own will. So, that's another thing you can put in your stupid ass vape pen and smoke it, if that's what you call it. I don't know. Blow out a big cloud and make yourself feel better about yourself. Effing man. I'm just tired of it because, I'm a middle of the road guy. What the frick do you think the purple stands for? Red and blue, red and blue, red and blue. That's who I am. I got a lot of left-leaning views in the world. The ones that are good, but when it comes to my country, man, no, no, I don't take a soft view. I don't take a soft view on illegal immigration. I'm a hardline military type person. I know we got to be strong, and people got to start paying us. How about that? I've heard that speech before. That came out of our president a long time ago. These countries should be paying us for protecting them. Either that or we got to be more aggressive with ourselves, like a place like Israel. They take the bull by the horn, man. And bull by the horn. That reminds me of one of the things, a little bone I got to pick with the right now, which is, you got this pseudo Greta, apparently. I steer clear of this stuff. I just hear about it. I have teenager tell me everything. But apparently, there's some girl being used by her parents to spout the evils of homosexuality, which is just asinine in this day and age. People got to get over that, man. Republicans got to get over that, man. If you're one of those people who's like, stuck in the past with your views and your values, it's okay. But to broadcast any form of hatred or any form of judgment, if you're judging, people's actions, whether good or evil, that's one thing. But if you're just judging what's right or wrong, that's the kind of stuff that I think has to end. And a person you struggle out with his whole life is the creepy Democrat nominee. And it's just disgusting because my fear is in 2024, we're not going to have a strong non-politician like Trump. We're going to have some, God only knows. I don't know who we're going to have, and the Democrats are going to have a real shot there. And, they've shown me Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden, and that terrifies me. Joe Biden's got like one of the biggest creep factors ever. Him and his family are like linked to China with like big money involved. And right now we need to get away from that. We need to get away from a global supply chain, man. We need to bite the bullet and bring stuff back. We don't need to get more in bed with them. And he's seemingly incapable of holding it together for a few minutes. And I don't mean that as a joke. I don't mean that to be mean. I've seen the speeches and even myself, man. And if you ever know my past, I have a lot of reasons why I'm a little bit hyper, a little bit all over the place, and I can understand that. But when it's coming from something that may be dementia, that just scares me. And it scares me the most that that's where the Democrats went. It scares me for the future. It scares me that, they're going wackadoodle and they've got numbers. And they really are going wackadoodle. I'm sorry, they just are. The things that they're saying, the way that they're spinning coronavirus right now, the way they're trying to blame Trump for it. He acted while he tried to hold the country together, keep us from panicking while things got sorted out because there was conflicting information. And he tried really desperately to, put a travel ban out there, and then he gets labeled a racist and a xenophobe. How does that freaking help? I really just do not understand how that helps at all, And, here in California, You know, I've been going about my job. I've been wearing my mask everywhere I go. You know, I was with somebody the other day and they actually got refused service because they weren't wearing a mask. But, you know, I'm actually out there and stuff like this, man, doing my job. You know, I wore a Bugs Bunny one the other day, you know. Because, you know, you got to earn. But, man, I feel so bad because I go into these buildings and I see the devastation that's been wrought. And at this point, you know, I think that the cure was worse than the disease. Flat out. I'm just going to say it flat out. That's how it is. You know, I like I said earlier, I'm a kind of hardline military guy. I watch a lot of military documentaries and stuff. And oftentimes when they're referring to casualties, they'll say, oh, at the Battle of such and such, 30,000 Americans and Canadians were either killed or wounded. They lump the killed or wounded in there because in battle, and life is a battle. It's not called survival of the fittest for, you know, no reason. You know, the lions are out there to eat the friggin' impalas or the antelopes or whatever it is that they're going to eat. The zebras. You know, we're the zebras and the life around us is the frickin' lions. So everything's about battles, man. And in this country now, we're into double-digit unemployment. We just got to a period where we had record low unemployment among several different races and genders. You know, or gender. I don't really know. I mean, female unemployment. And now we're here because we didn't go forward with a plan. We're wearing masks now. Why weren't we wearing masks back in March? Why didn't we try this? Really? Why? You know, right at the stupid governor. Why didn't we start with the thing that injured the least amount of people and see how that goes first? What? You know, again, it's not difficult to see. We could have tried other methods before we destroyed people's lives. And the worst part is that the decisions that were being made are once again being made by rich people who could weather this kind of this time off. They wiggle around the rules. You know they're damn well doing whatever it is that they want to do. You know? And we're suffering. The people around us are suffering. I go into warehouses. I go into manufacturing places. I go into places that are deemed essential. But not everybody at that company is essential. And some are getting paid and some are getting furloughed. And some are flat out being told that they're going to be reapplying for their jobs. You hear how serious I take this. But do the politicians that represent your side take this seriously? You know, because if they do, if you believe in them like that, then I guarantee you do not live in California. Because they're freaking clueless. And if you want to talk about the federal government, I'll tell you right now, what I heard the other day that made a lot of sense. Remember something about politicians. They're just like the people you work with. They're not any smarter. They have much more resources, but they're completely dumb when they go to use them. Everybody's trying to cover everybody's ass. And that's what I liked about Trump. Yeah, he went out on a limb. Yeah, some of his stuff was wildly inaccurate. But at the end of the day, at the very least, he was trying to be positive and trying to lift us up before everything was going to drop out below us. He tried. I'm not going to sit here and rate his job. I wouldn't want his job. I honestly don't think any president, maybe even any president in time, would have known what to do with this once the media got a hold of it and spun it out of control. Because I'll tell you, we didn't do this in the past when we had these kind of bugs come around. We've never done this, and we should have. I think you have to go back to the early 1900s, like 1908 or 1909. I know my grandfather was stuck in a hospital as a boy, and he watched people die. And I know it was horrible, and some things were shut down. But I never really looked at the specifics of it, and it certainly never happened in my lifetime. But think about all the wounded people. We sacrifice so many people's lives right now. And we don't even know. We don't even know. We're not even, according to some people, we're not even close. I already had a concert I was supposed to go to at the end of May get canceled. I was supposed to say Palais Royale. And they're postponing it. So are we looking at another month of this craziness? And what's this going to look like when people have to skip 2 rent payments, 2 mortgages? And remember, corporations are going to be paying rent and they're going to be paying mortgages. So yeah, they're going to get some bailout money. And hopefully these fucking companies do the right thing when they get their checks and try to keep people employed. Try to keep their jobs and try, God, I hope, and honestly I pray, that when this is all over, the corporations that I have stood up for here do the right thing and bring back the employees. And don't try to use it to their advantage, because I'll be there to call you out. That's why I'm everybody's 18th favorite mass character. Because I'm not afraid to take on anybody. I don't care how I sound. I don't care if I always get my facts right or my numbers right. Man, I care about one thing and one thing only, man. And that's passion for America. Even if I'm wrong, just like Trump. Man, this is freaking America, man. We've overcome so much. And we should not let a group of people take it away. And we should not let a disease ruin it. And we're going to have to do something. We're all seriously going to have to put on our big boy pants when this is all over. And we're going to have to do our best to pick up the pieces, man. You know, and I really hope that people are thinking about what it's going to be like, because there's going to be some devastation. There's going to be a lot of people in some serious need of some coin. And this time around, I would like to see the politicians get more coin to the people than anything else. You know, we need to step up. The government needs to step up. Everybody is going to have to pull together to get through this, because there are still rough times ahead. And at the end of it all, I think we're going to find out that it was all a bunch of BS. And that we seriously amputated a leg for a flesh wound. I really think that's what it's going to be. I think that's what it's going to be. So they did in the Civil War. You took a musket ball or other sort of rounds to your leg and basically just amputated it. And I think that's what we've done. And it really pisses me off. And it really pisses me off that that one side is trying to capitalize on it, trying to seize power, trying to seize the spotlight, and trying to blame the president. Meanwhile, they're putting up a guy who, I'm sorry, doesn't even seem like he'd be able to tie his own shoes right now. And that's what's really pissing me off. You know, you guys should put up a real candidate. Stop with this BS that you guys have pulled 2 years in a row now. Put up a real candidate. We don't need to be a country that's transformed. We need a country that needs to be led from a business and a security standpoint. That's what we need. We need to be locked down, bringing stuff back into America, and making good deals, and figuring out ways for Americans to keep more money so we could spend it and get this thing rolling again. But man, whatever you're struggling with right now, being at home, or if you're one of the ones that's out there and you're just whatever, man, you know, you live in the greatest country in the world. Be good to yourselves, because there is a light at the end of the tunnel. We're Americans, man, and what we do is we prevail. See you next time. Thanks.